Good evening and welcome to the last edition of Feedback for the semester. Tonight we are doing yet another TV5 News Anchor free-for-all. Stay with us. Feedback starts now. Good evening and welcome to the last show of the year here on Feedback tonight. We're doing what we did last Thursday night, except we're doing it with different anchors. TV5 News anchor free-for-all night. So tonight on the show, we're going to be speaking with Pat Grace from our Thursday night program, Kelly Esno from Tuesday nights, and Carrie LaPoo from Wednesday nights. So we're going to go ahead and we are going to take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk with them about whatever we can manage to come up with in the next 2 minutes during the commercial break. So stay with us. It should be an interesting night. Feedback continues after the break.
Of the programming was made possible through a grant by Fox's Pizza Den. Fox's Pizza Den is located on Old Route 66 in Clarion and offers all-day delivery. Phone 226-5555. That's 226-5555. Fox's Pizza Den is open 7 days a week for your convenience. Phone 226-5555.
Wardrobe for some TV5 news anchors provided by Fashion Bug, located in the Clarion Mall. Whether you're looking for junior trendy, girls, or fashion for women, they have it all, with many different styles. Fashion Bug also offers a wide selection of accessories. Fashion Bug is located in the Clarion Mall, just off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. till 9 p.m., and Sunday from noon till 5.
This portion of the program was made possible through a grant from Clarion Hospital. Clarion Hospital is located off of Exit 9 of Interstate 80. Clarion Hospital offers outpatient services, transitional care, as well as an emergency room open around the clock every day of the year. More than 400 employees and 80 physicians work to serve the community. Call the Clarion Hospital at 226-9500. Clarion Hospital, providing health care to Clarion County and surrounding communities since 1954.
Do you want complete coverage of local, state, national, and international news as it happens?
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to TV5 News Live.
So tune in to Clarion's very own TV5 News Live for complete coverage of the Clarion area and our world. TV5 News crews join with crews from the world's news leader, CNN, to provide complete coverage of the day's events. With advanced satellite capabilities, TV5 News can bring you the latest news as it happens. So tune in every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings for Clarion's very own TV5 News Live.
Welcome back to Feedback. I'm Mark Tesvadagas. As we said, it's the second of our free-for-all programs with our news anchors. So we talked about it last week. We decided we'll talk about it a little bit more. Post 9/11 life. Earlier in the week, Governor Ridge came out and kind of issued the third alert for us to be on alert in what we do. What do we think of this? Third time now they've come out and said, we know that there might be some terrorist activity, but we don't know what it is. Just be ready. How do we live our lives now in this world?
I think it's tough. It's definitely a scary issue that we have to start thinking about, and I think as Americans, I never thought I would have to worry about this.
But I think the most important thing to do, what I personally think, is just to continue life as normal. When 9/11 came around, we all tried to get scared and change everything, and life just has to go on. That's what I think.
I agree with Carrie. I think, you know, if people get worked up and scared about all this, then things are just going to turn into chaos. And if we go on with our daily lives, like we have been for the past couple months, then things will just work as normal, and we'll deal with new events as they come.
I agree with them also, but I think that now that this happened, like, we're always going to be afraid and, like, be ready for it. I don't think that we really need Tom Ridge to come out and tell us, you know, to be ready for this. I think it's just kind of there.
Well, that's what
Everyone
I
knows
say.
about
With
it.
him coming out and doing that, is it going to get old eventually? Is it going to be, you know, crying wolf? Because what happened the other two times? Nothing that we know of. But is it good that he's doing this because, you know, I don't know what the motivation is. I don't think anybody knows. How many credible threats do they have? You know, why is he coming out and do this? And are we eventually going to be immune to it and say he's crying wolf?
I don't think we could ever be immune to it.
You think that it's changed us that much?
I really think it has changed us that much. I mean, we have lived. I mean, we haven't lived with war around us or anything like that. And sometimes I just think that every time I'm reminded of it, it's just another click. It's another thing that you have to start thinking about, because we do go about our daily lives and don't think about anything. We don't think anything could go wrong, and sometimes that reminder is just, well, it's a reminder that says, you know, be on alert, be aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
I think that I don't really think he needs to tell us. I mean, every day there's something out there that reminds us of 9/11. I mean, since that happened, there hasn't been a day that went by that, you know, I haven't seen something. I mean, and with, like, everyone's American flags now, I mean, you're always reminded of it. I don't think he needs to tell us every 3 weeks or whatever that, you know, be prepared. I think it'll always be there.
Mm-hmm. Look at this weekend. You know, 9/11 and everything that's happened after it, the attacks and the ensuing war have been the top story, basically. This weekend, something bumped it out of the slot. George Harrison dies from the Beatles. Now, was it good for news judgment to bump it, to make this the top story? How do you feel about that? I was personally surprised to see the networks lead with it, because I just wouldn't think that would be something that generally that would be top news. But all these memorial services in New York for George Harrison. What's your reaction to seeing that?
Well, I think, Mark, like I was talking to you earlier about this, and I too was surprised to see that this was the top story. But at the same time, it got everyone away from the same lead story that it's been. 9/11 has been the lead story ever since that day, and this kind of got people, you know, away from that. And not that it was a positive thing, a positive story to lead with, but it was definitely got people's minds off the 9/11 for the news.
Mm-hmm.
I think that just that shows that we're dealing with the 9/11, and it's no longer as big of a threat to us. Like, we don't see it as a threat as much anymore. There's still the opportunity for threat, and we'll be prepared for that, but we're moving on in our daily lives, and new things are coming into the news that are top stories. So I think it was a good thing that they led with that story.
Right. Well, I noticed in one of our newscasts last week, usually we run one story just kind of recapping the day's events. It didn't come until about 15 minutes into the show, and I think that was based on other news of the day. That was proper judgment, but I haven't seen it that in our show here. I haven't seen it that late, and I think we're returning to normal in that sense. But look at the cable networks. That's still what they're covering. And I read something in USA Today the other day. MSNBC does Don Imus's radio show in the morning, and I guess he's been angry a few times because MSNBC has broken away to show comments from Tom Ridge or the president or whatever. But they showed somebody's photo op. You know, some politician was touring the Ground Zero, And they broke away to show that, and their justification was, well, we're losing in the ratings right now against the other networks, and our war coverage is really what gets us the ratings, not your talk show. Are we going back to being the evil media again and just looking for ratings? Because for a while, I think when people put great trust in television news, are we receding again?
I think as different networks, they're always going to be worried about the ratings, and at this point in time, it is being viewed as going back to the evil media. And it's sad to think that they would shift gears from things that are going on just to improve the ratings, because the 9/11 events are just, I mean, they're heartbreaking for all Americans. Like, millions of people know everybody or somebody that died in that event. And to try and readjust and try to keep going back to that, that's rough. I mean, I think the George Harrison thing where they broke into with that, I think that was a good thing. He was loved by many generations of people. My mom was saying how she can remember the very first day that she saw him on the Ed Sullivan Show. And even like myself and my sisters, and we all listened to the Beatles. And I think, you know, it's a generation who have been affected by his death, by the loss of him. And for networks to say that they're losing ratings and stuff, I really do think that it is the evil media coming back into play, and it shouldn't be that way. I really think it's time for us to look at the things that really just need to be going on for life to continue on the way they should be.
Is this life continuing on though? The media returning to being what they were, money hungry, you know, for the ratings. Is that normal? Maybe that's good, you know, that we're returning to that. What do you think about the media coverage in general? Like that 9/11, I remember reading some stories the day after, written by a lot of people in the industry, in the television industry, saying, look, everyone was saying, turn away from television. You don't want to watch television because what do? They give you the story in 30 seconds that a newspaper gives you in a nice long story. And everyone said, look, America turned their television sets back on because if anyone's story about 9/11 somehow revolves, you always hear, I saw it on television, when I first saw it on television. And everyone said, look, America is coming back to TV. Are we now turning back away from it?
I don't think that's necessarily what we need to do, whether we are or not. I don't think that's something that, I think television is always the, people need that visual way that the story is told. They need to see, they feel, it makes them feel more close to the event that's going on. And I think that as long as they're just reading in a newspaper, then they have to get their own mental image. But with TV, they actually see the actual image. And yeah, people say that TV distorts the facts and makes things look how they want them to get the ratings. And to an extent, that's true. But for the most part, I believe that the news, the network stations are trying to bring, you know, the actual stories into the viewing audience, so that they can have a better sense than a newspaper could give them.
Right.
I think that we still rely on both television and paper, the newspaper. When this first started, what happened, I mean, everything was there, like late-breaking news on television for everyone to see right when it happened. And, I mean, yeah, some of the pictures they made, the flash on the screen might have been quick, but then the next morning you see them in the newspaper, like the picture there, and you can sit there and you can, like, look at it and realize actually what happened and read the story over again with maybe more information. But I still think that we will always go back to television because, like, the news is going to be there, right then.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave 9/11 talking at that. We're going to take a break. We're going to attempt to move off of the subject of 9/11. Some other interesting things coming up. Stay with us. Feedback continues after the break.
I am an American. I am an American.
I am an American.
I am an American.
I American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I'm an American.
I am American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
I am an American.
I'm an American.
September 11, 2001 tragedy was not only the tragedy of one nation, it was a tragedy for the entire human race. And if the perpetrators were Arabs or Muslims, we should not blame this on Islam or the entire Islamic faith. We should try to avoid these epithets because they have got serious consequences for innocent people. It is very necessary for us to detach the individual acts from their faith and from their ethnicity.
You'd never know it on the battlefield, but nearly half of today's military are National Guard and reservists. However, they can't answer our nation's call without their employer's support. If you're an employer, visit esgr.org and find out how to do your part. After all, their response depends on yours.
You're watching TV5 with Zeta Tau Alpha.
Welcome back to Feedback. We are here with TV5 news anchors for our free from. And moving past 9/11 talk, I was cleaning out my desk and I found this article that I'd pulled a long time ago because I wanted to talk about it on the show, but I never got a chance to anyway. It is funny. It's from the New York Times from Sunday, September 9th. What a different world we lived in that day, huh? I'm just going to read you a couple of paragraphs of this, and then I want to get your reaction on this because I think it's interesting. Kelly's actually heard this before, and I think you find this interesting. Casey Moss and Kara Price never dated each other or anyone else. They never shared a meal alone, never talked about their dreams or plans. They never kissed and never held hands. Yet 2 years ago, when Kara was 14 and Casey was 20 and heading off to medical school, they pledged their lives to each other in an improvised ceremony at their church that they called a betrothal. They exchanged matching signet rings, promised to be faithful, and considered their vows as binding as a marriage. Only then did they set about getting to know each other and thinking of themselves as a couple. Last month, with their parents' permission, they decided they could start holding hands. While their story may seem a throwback to the Victorian age, Casey and Kara are actually on the front edge of a small but growing movement among conservative Christian youths who are rejecting the dominant culture's approach to dating and romance. They are not simply saying no to premarital sex, they are essentially saying no to premarital romance. Convinced that dating causes emotional pain, broken promises, and sexual strain, they are trying to rewrite the rules for relationships. What do you think of this?
I mean, like, I don't know really what to say about it. I mean, if they, at first when you first told me it, I thought that it was like they made their parents made them do this. Like their parents said, you know, you can't do this, you can't do that. But then you explained that, you know, they're okay with this. They want it like that. I mean, I guess it's up to you if you want it like that. But I mean, personally, I would think would be strange. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm with this person every day and share meals together and pledge to get married and then just start holding hands, I mean, I just think that's different.
When I first read it, I thought the first thing that popped in my head was the whole idea of like arranged marriages, where, I mean, I realize they're not in an, you know, the parents didn't set them up with this, but still it seemed odd that they were kind of doing the things you would do in arranged marriage. Like, do they really know each other? And then all of a sudden now they're pledging themselves to each other, and now they know, you know, they're going to start this. What do you guys think?
I think like the whole part of dating is getting to know the person that you're with. if they wait till the ceremony to get to know the person, that I think that'd be difficult. I can understand their thoughts of, you know, waiting to, you know, hold hands or to kiss and everything. I can respect that, because that just makes, I think that makes a relationship very special. When you say I love you to somebody, or when you kiss somebody, like, that entails the fact that you really care about that person. And waiting till after you're married is a normal thing for some people. But waiting to get to know that person until that point in time, I think that's where it plays a weird angle, because if I'm going to pledge my life to somebody, I definitely want to know who they are. I don't want to find that out later on.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like, that's like marrying a stranger. It's like picking someone off the street and saying, hey, you want to get married, and then getting to know them afterwards. What if it doesn't work out? And then there's the same heartbreak and strain on the relationship there. And any relationship is going to have, you know, its ups and downs. But I just think it's really weird to think that, you know, I'm not going to start getting to know the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with until after we're married. I mean, that's, like Carrie said, that's part of the dating experience, is getting to know the person. And that way, you figure that sort of thing out before you actually make the commitment to be married, whether you're going to actually work out or not. And the heartbreak and all that goes along with it. I think it's just part of the whole package of dating and relationships.
They never shared a meal alone, never talked about their dreams or plans. Now, I've shared meals with people that I haven't been dating. I mean, I just found that was odd. They never talked about dreams. I think we all talk about dreams all the time, but yet, you know, they never kissed or never held hands. Well, you know, Carrie kind of made the point. Well, that can wait, but never shared a meal, and then all of a sudden they're pledging themselves to each other.
Like, I also, when you first said it to me, there's a pretty big age difference, isn't there?
Well, yes, she is 14, he's 20.
See, I kind of got the impression that, all right, they never did share a meal apart. They spent every day with each other, and he was going off to medical school, I believe you said. Like, maybe it was almost as though they didn't want to lose each other, because, I mean, they're just so close that they might not know what it would be like with someone else, or, you know, getting to know other people. So maybe that was just their way of making, like, the commitment to each other, like, you know, they're going to be together. But then also is the fact that, I mean, he is going away, so how are they going to get to know each other?
Right.
If they're going to be so far apart.
Well, here's another paragraph about age. Although a formal betrothal like Casey and Kara's is rare, even in conservative Christian circles, some would consider their union extreme because of her youth. Many people are promoting a similar hand-before-heart approach they call courtship. The commitment to marriage comes first, before a couple is allowed to begin drawing emotionally close. What if, I don't know, I mean, could you just imagine? The thing I keep thinking of is arranged marriages. That you're picked and that person's picked, and there you go. And there you go. Try to become emotionally close. Like, that's how I read this. That's how I read this is happening.
I agree with you as to how this seems to be. And the age difference, the way I look at it is these two people are on totally different wavelengths of life. One person is just, you know, beginning to see what high school is like and to be involved in extracurricular activities, and one person is just ready to go out into the college life. And that is difficult, and I agree with what Kelly said. You know, sometimes people are just like that and they're afraid to lose the person. But I don't know, part of a Christian relationship is getting to know that person and getting involved with each other, you know, praying together, doing daily devotions together. And I don't think that you have to, you know, have an official ceremony and then move on to that part. I think that's another part of the dating relationship, is getting to know that other person and understanding their beliefs and their background and everything that goes along with it. And that's the way I view my relationships, you know, getting involved with that other person, understanding the other person, and sharing your dreams with them, you know, sharing your beliefs with them. I think that's very important, and I don't think you have to wait until after you have an official ceremony to begin that.
Right. All right, well, we are actually about out of time, but we should have talked about this in the first segment, too. I think it draws some interesting things. The whole article, you know, kind of goes on to talk about some other couples doing this. Now, I think they led with the most extreme one first in that they do this ceremony, but still, it's happening, and if it makes the front page of the New York Times, I think maybe it is a trend. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us, Pat. When we go to break, we're going to let you jump off the set, and because you got the news coming up here in just a minute. But thank you, ladies. It's been a good semester. Carrie on Wednesdays, Kelly on Tuesdays. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and stay with us. Feedback continues after this.
We're stronger than you. You can't hold us back. Violence. We know what it takes to blow past you.
And violence, we're just getting going.
On September 11th, America faced terrorist attacks of the worst kind. Innocent lives were lost, and a sad cloud was cast over this great nation. These acts were intended to cause fear among all, including our children. But we cannot let that happen. There are things we can do to help our kids. Talk with them. Listen to them. Tell them they're safe and that they're loved. God bless you, and God bless America.
Cellular One has plans that fit the way you talk. For all the who's, whens, whys, and wheres, there's a plan this year. Make someone's holiday happy, happier, or the happiest of all with one of these great phones. Plus, get a free line of phone service, unlimited nights and weekends, free long distance, and free voice-activated dialing. However you talk, Cellular One. Plans that fit the way you talk.
Whether you're looking for seasonal flowers, wedding flowers, or plants, Wilshire's Flowers and Gifts has them all, plus a vast array of gifts ranging from dolls, balloons, fruit baskets, and plush toys. Stop by Wilshire's Flowers and Gifts located on Merck Street in Clarion. Wilshire's offers same-day delivery. Phone number 226-7070 or 1-800-833-3571. The phone answers 24 hours a day.
Do. Welcome back to Feedback. This is the last Feedback for the year. TV5 News is coming up next with Pat Grace and Susan Honorad. Next semester, when we start on the air in February and through May, that is going to be the last run of Feedback, the last couple months for Feedback. So right now we're working on putting together what we're calling the Feedback Farewell Tour. So we're going to be bringing in guests that you've seen on this program for the last 3.5 years, some of our favorite guests, some guests you've seen on here a lot. Dr. Reinhardt, who was on last week, will be back, and of course we're going to do Anchor Free-for-Alls as we always have. So that's something to mark on your calendars for next semester. That's what we have coming up. I know these guys are, right? They're laughing. So as I said, stay tuned to TV5. TV5 News Live is coming up next. We will see you in February.